November 16, 2025. A massive explosion tears through the Polish night. The target isn't an open field. It's a vital artery of the Western Alliance, the railway delivering military aid to Ukraine. Twisted metal and a smoking crater mark the site. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk calls it an act of unprecedented sabotage. But the truth is far darker. This wasn't an accident. It was a message. Russia has just attacked a Western Alliance member, directly on its own territory. The hybrid war, once fought in the shadows, has now turned physical in a way no one can ignore. Article 5 is on the table. While the world holds its breath, other events unfold in a chilling chain. Drones, submarines, fifth-generation fighters. Pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, reveal a plan far more daring and dangerous than mere sabotage. A plan that could push Europe to the brink. If the war has already crossed the borders of the Western Alliance, why are Western leaders still talking about containing the conflict? What aren't they telling you? Share your opinion in the comments without fear of censorship. We want to know what you think. But before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription means a lot and helps you stay updated on every story about the raging nations. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to help this project grow even more. To understand what's happening, we need to look to the skies. Rostec, Russia's state-owned defense giant, announces it's upgrading its most advanced fighter, the Sukhoi Su-57, based on war feedback. A jet the Western Alliance calls felon. Why upgrade a fifth-generation fighter, a $200 million machine, during a conflict that seems focused on attrition, artillery, and trenches? The answer isn't in Ukraine. It's in the international market and the Kremlin's long-term plans. The Su-57 isn't just a fighter. It's an air dominance platform. With speeds over Mach 2, supercruise, and maneuvering that defies physics, it's built to hunt Western Alliance jets like the American F-35. Upgrades include new thrust vectoring nozzles and hypersonic weapons. They're prepping the machine for a new kind of adversary. While Russia upgrades its weapons of the future, Ukraine responds with what it has now. Satellite images reveal a bold attack. Ukrainian drones strike a secret Russian base, destroying Orion reconnaissance drones. A direct blow to Russia's battlefield surveillance capability. It's clear the war is no longer contained. It's a technological cat-and-mouse game, with each side exploiting the other's weaknesses. But what happens when this game crosses red lines? What happens when retaliation becomes the only option? The answer is unfolding in real time, and it's scarier than any fiction. On the ground, the situation is critical. Russia is advancing in the Zaporizhia region, the war's so-called meat grinder. Losses are estimated in the hundreds daily on both sides. Cities like Dnipro are relentlessly bombarded by drones, and even the public news broadcaster is a target. Amid this carnage, a disturbing pattern emerges. A teenager is killed in Kharkiv by a drone strike. Civilians, journalists, infrastructure, nothing is off limits. Total war is in full swing, with a human toll now exceeding 500,000 lives, according to Western estimates. And amid the chaos, diplomacy tries to find a space. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy travels to Turkey in a desperate attempt to revive peace talks. Spain promises a substantial aid package, gestures that seem important to the media. But behind the scenes, the story is different. The Kremlin coldly announces it will not join any talks. To them, negotiation is weakness. Victory is the only language. Viktor Orban of Hungary, an EU member, publicly states that Ukrainians have no chance of winning. Is this diplomacy or theater? While leaders shake hands for the cameras, missiles keep falling. The peace talks seem like nothing more than a smokescreen. A tactical pause in a conflict no one truly intends to stop. But why is Russia refusing to negotiate now? The answer may lie in what happened in Poland. The sabotage in Poland wasn't an isolated act. It was the peak of a campaign. Poland claims 2 Ukrainian citizens working for Russia are the main suspects. The irony is brutal. The nation Poland helps the most is used as a weapon against it. A classic tactic of disinformation and chaos. But the attack goes further. A Western Alliance ally, who remained anonymous, reveals this was just one of several unprecedented sabotage attacks. NBC News confirms, all signs point to Russia. The shadow war is coming into the light. How many Russian agents are operating on European soil right now? How many accidents were actually deliberate attacks? Paranoia is setting in. Hybrid warfare is no longer a theory. It's a fact, and Europe seems unprepared for it. The bombing in Poland is a clear sign of escalation. It's no longer about Ukraine. It's about challenging the Western Alliance directly. But if Russia is willing to go this far, what stops it from taking the next step? The answer lies in the Black Sea, and a new weapon that's terrifying Europe. On the Danube River, at the border between Romania and Ukraine, a Turkish tanker loaded with liquefied natural gas is hit by a Russian drone. The explosion lights up the night. The burning ship threatens an environmental and human disaster. Romania, a member of the Western Alliance, panics. Entire villages along the Romanian border are hurriedly evacuated. The fear isn't just the fire, but a secondary explosion that could devastate the area. The attack occurred in Ukrainian waters, but just meters from Western Alliance territory. A calculated provocation? The European Union's defense chief publicly admits, Europe is not prepared for a Russian drone attack. They are vulnerable, and the Kremlin knows it. Russian drones have already violated Western Alliance airspace multiple times, by invitation, according to some sources, testing response times and mapping defenses. These incidents aren't accidental. They're tests. Russia is systematically poking the bear, gauging the Western Alliance's hesitation, and assessing how far it can go before getting a real response. Poland now declares it is in a pre-war period with Putin. The battlefield has become transparent. Cheap and lethal drones have changed the rules. The strength of a massive military alliance like the Western Alliance is neutralized by swarms of small attackers. And while the Western Alliance deliberates, Russia acts. But the real question is, what comes after drones? The question echoing through the halls of power in Brussels and Washington is this: when will this hybrid war become physical? The answer may be, it already has. The attack in Poland and the incident in Romania are acts of war, even if undeclared. A high-ranking Western Alliance general, now under Mark Rutte's command, states, Russia wants a panic reaction and we cannot give them that. But calm is starting to look more like denial. Poland is on high alert. Estonia urges allies to overcome the fear. And Germany, Europe's economic powerhouse, announces the purchase of more than 170 air defense missiles from the United States. A move that signals urgency. the German defense minister makes a grim statement. Perhaps we've lived through our last peaceful summer. Internal documents from the Western Alliance leaked to the press paint an even more troubling picture. Bridges that wouldn't support modern tank weight, bureaucracy that would delay troop deployments for weeks, outdated war plans. The most powerful alliance in history might be a paper tiger. The Western Alliance is on a razor's edge. On one side, the risk of escalation into World War III. On the other, the risk of appearing weak and encouraging even more Russian aggression. And while generals plan, the narrative war runs wild, confusing the public. Who's really in control? As tensions rise, Russia's war machine doesn't stop. The arms industry runs on 3 shifts, producing tanks, missiles, and ammunition at a pace the West can't match. The sanctions meant to cripple Russia's economy seem to have had the opposite effect, boosting self-sufficiency. The Su-57, for instance, is being fitted with the new Izdeli-30 engine, allowing for sustained supercruise flight without afterburners, a capability only a few fighters in the world possess. This means it can fly faster and longer, dictating the terms of any aerial combat. At the same time, Russia showcases new hypersonic missiles at the Dubai Air Show, like the RVV-MD2, designed specifically to shoot down stealth aircraft. They're not just replenishing losses, they're leaping a technological generation ahead in key areas. This raises a disturbing question. If Russia is preparing for a high-tech conflict with the Western Alliance, why does it continue sacrificing tens of thousands of soldiers in attrition battles in Ukraine? The answer may be the most cynical of all. To the Kremlin, human lives are a renewable resource. The meat grinder of Zaporizhia serves a dual purpose. It buys time for Russia's defense industry to modernize and drains the Western Alliance's arsenal, which supplies Ukraine at an unsustainable pace. But what no one in mainstream media dares to say is that this strategy might be working. While diplomacy stalls, pieces move across the geopolitical board. US President Donald Trump meets with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Deals are made. New alliances are forged, far from Europe's view. The world is realigning. Zelenskyy, in turn, seeks support wherever he can. His visit to Turkey is an attempt to keep Ukraine relevant in a world increasingly distracted by other crises. But Russia's refusal to negotiate and Orban's statement show a harsh reality. Ukraine is running out of options. Military analysts point to 6 possible scenarios for ending the war. None of them are optimistic. They range from a frozen conflict that could reignite at any moment to a total Russian victory that would redraw Europe's map forever. And Spain? The announcement of substantial aid is met with skepticism. What's substantial when Ukraine needs billions per month just to survive? The West's symbolic gestures seem increasingly hollow in the face of brutal conflict. The hypocrisy within the Western Alliance becomes clear, and internal pressures are affecting strategic decisions. While some countries push for tougher action, others fear economic consequences and the risk of total war. This division is exactly what the Kremlin wants. A house divided cannot stand. The sabotage in Poland is the perfect example of this strategy of division. By using Ukrainian agents, Russia not only strikes the Western Alliance but also sows distrust between Poland and Ukraine, 2 of its closest allies. It is a master move in psychological warfare. Polish intelligence sources leak that the railway attack was surgical. The explosives were placed at a point that would maximize damage and repair time, showing technical knowledge and meticulous planning. This was not the work of amateurs. The Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, denies any involvement, calling the accusations hysterical Russophobia. But these denials have become a predictable ritual. No one in the West believes them anymore. The question is not if Russia is behind it, but what it will do next. Drone warfare is the next phase. The attack on the tanker in Romania was a readiness test. The evacuation of the villages showed that the threat is real and that the Western alliance is vulnerable. But what if the next target is not a ship but a power plant or a military base? The head of EU defense sounds the alarm, but his words seem to vanish in the wind. Europe, focused on regulations and bureaucracy, has forgotten how to prepare for a real war. The post-Cold War peace mindset has become its greatest weakness. Meanwhile, Russian drones continue violating the Western alliance's airspace. Small incursions, fast and hard to track. Each one a small humiliation, a sign the alliance does not control its own skies. Poland is already openly speaking of a pre-war period. This brings us back to the central question, the Western alliance's readiness. Is the general calling for calm trying to prevent panic or hiding an inconvenient truth? The statements from the German minister and the Estonian leader suggest the worst. Germany's purchase of missiles is a signal. But missiles take time to be delivered and integrated. Russia is acting now. Europe's window of vulnerability is open, and the Kremlin seems determined to exploit it fully. The alliance, built to confront Soviet tanks on the German plain, now faces a multifaceted threat: sabotage, cyber warfare, drones, disinformation, and all of it under the shadow of the world's largest nuclear arsenal. Is the Western alliance becoming obsolete? And here, the narrative breaks apart. Who is right? For Irish politician Mick Wallace, the war in Ukraine is a proxy conflict of the Western alliance, and Europe lacks an independent policy. A view that resonates in many parts of the world. Others, like the newspaper The Eastern Herald, go further, claiming that the West and the Western alliance violate international law. They point to the alliance's eastward expansion as the original cause of the conflict, a provocation Russia could not ignore. Independent military analysts, such as those from Medusa, offer a darker view. For them, Putin fears peace more than war. A peaceful Russia would be one where internal contradictions would surface. War is the glue that keeps the regime together. And what about the nuclear threat? One expert says it is unlikely that Russia will use nuclear weapons. But the very existence of nearly 6,000 Russian warheads hangs over every decision. It is the ultimate blackmail weapon, ensuring the Western alliance never intervenes directly. In the end, what remains are fears. Fears of a third world war, fueled by explosive headlines. Fears of escalation in the Baltic states, the most vulnerable border of the Western alliance. Fears that the last peaceful summer has already passed. But the greatest fear is uncertainty. We return to Poland, to the twisted tracks, to the attack on Western Alliance territory, an act of war that demands a response. But what response would not lead to an even greater catastrophe? Russia's war machine keeps adapting. Diplomacy keeps failing. Sabotage spreads. The drones keep flying. Narratives keep colliding. The world watches, waiting for the next move in a game where the rules are being rewritten with blood and steel. The competitor's script we analyzed shows how leaving loose ends keeps the viewer hooked. And the biggest loose end of all is this: Russia has shown it can and will attack the Western alliance. The Western alliance has shown it will hesitate to respond. What happens when an aggressor realizes its victim is afraid to strike back? History teaches us it does not stop. It advances. The question is no longer if there will be another attack, but where and when. If the war has already crossed the borders of the Western alliance, why are Western leaders still talking about containing the conflict? What are they not telling you? Leave your opinion here in the comments without fear of censorship. We want to know what you think. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. You're awesome, and I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates on the raging nations. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to help this project grow even more.